Michael Keaton is iffy on his return as Batman, GoldenEye is back, and I find out what the bad guy in Billy Madison would be up to these days. But before we get into all that, make sure you tap that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, because we are putting up videos almost every day of the week and we're oh so close to the big 3,000. The best geek news! Hello, I am Chris Killian, and the Emmys went down last night, and if you are the type of person who cares about the Emmys at all, you already know who won what.
Now, isn't that an astute observation?
Last night, Michael Keaton won his first Emmy for his role in Dope Sick, and when asked by Entertainment Weekly when he might suit up as Batman again, Keaton ultimately responded, quote, "I don't know, we'll see."
God.
And can you even blame the guy? The legend himself has suited back up as Batman 3 times now, and 2 of the 3 times have already been erased, never to be seen again.
Deleted.
In an interview with The Playlist, Sam Rockwell said he'd be down to join the Thunderbolts, saying, quote, "Yeah, definitely, I would be into that. Thunderbolts sound cool, Hammer's fun, he's a real Lex Luthor." With all due respect, Mr. Rockwell, I would argue that because Justin Hammer is fictional, that he's actually not a real Lex Luthor.
And it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it!
Today, the first trailer for Babylon came out, starring Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie in a semi-fictionalized account of the golden age of Hollywood, and it looks incredible. Tell me with a straight face who wouldn't want to go see this movie with a scene like this.
Who wants to see me fight a snake?
The sequel to Breath of the Wild will now be officially called The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and it's coming on May 12, 2023. We also learned that GoldenEye, the second greatest game to grace the N64, is coming to Switch and will feature online play. But what's the greatest N64 game of all time, you ask?
That is the question.
Last week, I got a chance to chat with Bradley Whitford and Max Minghella, 2 of my favorite actors on The Handmaid's Tale, and if you're a fan of the show, you know these 2 are still stuck in Gilead, so I asked why. Since Lawrence and Nick always come across as like reasonable guys, what do you think ultimately motivates them to stay behind in Gilead?
I don't know. I don't know that, in Nick's case, that he was a particularly fully formed person before he came into Gilead. So I don't know if he knows anything else, I think this is the only thing he's ever known, really, as an adult. And even though he's striving to find his moral compass, and I think he has a very different moral compass to a lot of the other commanders in Gilead, I don't know if he necessarily has the tools or like the intellect to know how to break free of that.
By the way, I think it's really interesting and realistic to have a character like Nick who is dealing, it's a very realistic portrayal of how complicated people can become, passive participants in, in an oppressive regime. I think part of the reason that Lawrence is staying, that Lawrence didn't kill himself in the wake of basically causing Eleanor's death, is that June has kind of inspired in him, I always say she's blown on the spark of decency with Nick and with me, and she's actually showed me a path to redemption that is going to be very difficult and very very dangerous, and will even put us, I think, into conflict with each other down the road. But I think that's the reason that I think Lawrence needs to stay there to see if he can do something to soften the horror that he helped to create.
The 5th season of The Handmaid's Tale premieres on Hulu tomorrow on September 14th. I also asked Bradley a question I was personally curious about that had nothing to do with The Handmaid's Tale at all. Some of my absolute favorite movies of yours are like Mike and Adventures in Babysitting and Eric and Billy Madison. I just thought you were so great when you were playing these douchebags. Just for fun, what do you think those guys are up to these days?
They're probably Trump rallies, I think.
Yeah, I think
they're all in MAGA dudes. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a theory that, after Eric attempted murder and got fired, I think he tried to pick himself up by the bootstraps and get a new lease on life, go to med school, and then he changed his name to Dean Armitage. I think that's probably what happened. And that's that for Tuesday. Thank you guys for stopping by the show, and make sure you turn notifications on as I will be back tomorrow. All of the stories in this video came from articles written on ComicBook.com, so if you'd like to read more about some of today's news with your own eyeballs, feel free to head over to ComicBook.com, where we work 24/7 to keep you up to speed on all the latest. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff, all of which are linked below. If you're someone who likes listening to other people argue for hours on end about this sort of stuff, we've got you covered there as well with Comic Book Nation, hosted by Kofi Outlaw every Friday, or our Marvel-focused podcast hosted by my best frenemy Brandon Davis, now on Thursdays. If you want some behind-the-scenes antics or previews of my cosplay, or you want to know what it's like to live on a spaceship for months at a time with no genuine human interaction, find me on Instagram at CKComedy or Twitter at Chris Killian, all linked below.